Europe, 13 German U-boats were sunk in the last 4 months. 6 in November, the largest total yet. Yesterday, England officially declared war on Finland, and the Russians, launching a counteroffensive, have been able to stall the advance of the German army in Moscow. Many U.S. politicians publicly wonder how long the U.S. can stay out of the war in Europe. And now, some music. The number one hit the land. Glenn Miller's Chattanooga Choo-Choo. Broadcast to bring you breaking news. The Japanese who attacked Pearl Harbor. It's December 7th, 1941, and you are there. Try to imagine the confusion. As the first bombs explode, the first sirens and alarms sound. Right here, right now. Listen to the sounds of battle. Hear the sirens, just as they did. Feel the explosions, hammer your chest, just as they did. Smell the smoke as it burns your nostrils, just as they did that fateful Sunday morning. Look, listen, and remember, for we must never forget. Japanese carriers poised 250 miles north of the island, launched the 185 airplanes of the first wave of the Japanese strike force at 0620 Hawaii time. They used the Honolulu radio on their phones to guide them to their fateful destinations. As the airplanes approached, operators at a Pona radar station spotted the strike force and reported to their superiors. The officers in charge mistake the strike force for a flight of B-17s arriving from the mainland, and no report is made. The destroyer USS Ford identified the Japanese mini submarine trying to enter Pearl Harbor. They report the attack to Naval Command, but the report is ignored, awaiting verification. In Washington, military intelligence has broken the Japanese diplomatic code, but the report reaches Pearl Harbor after the attack. At 0753, Lieutenant Masao Pachita uses radio and transmits those now famous words, Tora Tora Tora, signifying the Japanese have achieved complete surprise. The Japanese planes attack relentlessly. Many servicemen believe the attack is some kind of crazy air raid drill. Just 10 minutes into the battle, the USS Arizona, which has already taken a torpedo, has a bomb strike next to its number 2 turret. The 1,700-pound projectile penetrates deep into the belly of the ship, first through one deck, then 2 decks. It detonates the number 2 magazines, and seconds later the Arizona erupts like a volcano. Rising out of the harbor, flames shooting over 500 feet in the air. Almost 1,200 men perish in that moment, sent to a watery grave. Those brave young men still rest in the hold of that great ship at the Arizona Memorial. A testament to their courage, their sacrifice, their honor. A highly coordinated attack goes off like clockwork. At 0755, bombers attack Wheeler and Hickam Air Force Base. 2 minutes later, torpedo planes just like the ones you are seeing in front of you now begin their attack on Battleship Row. Sleepy-eyed soldiers stumble outside to see Japanese airplanes everywhere, circling the skies, waiting to attack the ships lined up side by side along Battleship Row in the middle of Pearl Harbor like sitting ducks. They make great targets. In fact, the Japanese have designed new torpedoes capable of striking the ships in the shallow harbor, a technological advancement again, Secretary of State Cordell Hull, well aware of what is transpiring in Hawaii, erupts when given a letter from the Japanese breaking off peace talks. This day also has numerous stories of irony and heroism. The Nevada, on the south end of Hawaii, opens fire at 0802, and although her captain and senior officers are not on board, Lieutenant Commander J.F. Thomas ignores his wounds and gets the ship underway, even with a huge hole in her port bow. In order to not block the channel, he teaches the wounded ship at Hospital Point, also on the Nevada. 21-year-old Joseph Thomas Jr., officer, mans an anti-aircraft battery and continues to direct fire at the enemy aircraft even after a bullet passes through his thigh. He refuses to leave his comrades, refuses to leave the battle. There are also stories of irony and humor. The commander of naval forces in Hawaii, Admiral Hudson Taylor, was standing in front of a window, observing the destruction of the battle, when a bullet breaks through the window and grazes his chest. He is unhurt, but the Admiral states, "It would have been mindful and merciful if I had been killed." Yeoman First Class Leonard Webb rushes to get his wife out of the car. Sorry, when we're almost in the car, my wife says, "The baby doesn't have any diapers, get some." It's the end of the world and my wife has me chasing diapers? As word of the extent of the devastation reaches Washington, the country is stunned. Later that day, President Franklin Roosevelt addresses a shocked nation.
Yesterday, December 6th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian Islands has caused severe damage to American naval and military forces. I regret to tell you that very many American lives have been lost. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
At 10 o'clock, the last of the strike force makes its way back to the waiting carriers, and the Japanese ships begin the long journey back to Japan. The attack lasted only 120 minutes, but American bases lay in ruins. Smoke billowed up from the devastation. 8 battleships, 3 cruisers, 3 destroyers, and 4 auxiliary ships, 18 ships in all, lay foundering in the oil-covered waters of Pearl Harbor. More than 350 aircraft stand broken or completely destroyed. In reality, America's Pacific Fleet has simply ceased to exist. But most horrific, 3,500 Americans lay dead or wounded in what remains of Pearl Harbor and Hickam Air Force Base. The Japanese lost 29 planes and less than 200 men. The Army and Navy spent the rest of the day attending to the wounded and putting out fires. The Arizona alone burns for 3 days. Yes, President Roosevelt issued a call to arms, and America listened. No one expected the surprise attack that fateful day. America was not ready for war, but America responded. America pulled together, and America was victorious. Young men joined the armed forces to defend this nation. Women began working in factories, working long, hard hours to energize industry and produce the needed materials to send a nation to war. Families rationed food and gasoline and many other items, sacrificing their own needs for the good of a nation.